is the one and only friend aliens can have.
Depot devoid.
Depot devoid.
Depot
All right,
devoid.
Ted Fagan, welcome to this podcast that you do with me. It is called The Depot Devoid.
Is it though?
It is according to the words underneath my face on the video. It says Depot Devoid Podcast.
You know
And
what?
I typed that myself, Ted.
I'll allow it.
How are you? Have you stopped any interesting crimes lately?
Not this week, but maybe last week I did. Maybe.
What? Why don't you tell us about that?
Well, Matt, some people don't quite know this about me, but I am a superhero and I fight crime.
How super are you?
Uh, well, I mean, I've got some broken ribs and a messed up elbow, so obviously I'm a superhero. And these things are why I didn't engage. That's why I called the police.
I guess that's probably what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I don't really enjoy that particularly. Don't make me get too political about
Ha-
police, but
Hashtag ACAB, Ted. Is that what you're tactfully not saying? What?
not exactly, no. But yeah, no, I generally try and avoid interactions with the police. I don't know how many times I've mentioned it on here, but I was, in fact, when I was 20 years old and 142 pounds, arrested in my own home for being a fat Mexican woman selling methamphetamines. So I
Yeah.
do have some dark history that makes me not trust the police very often.
When we were driving home after Bill and our dog Gus picked me up from work this afternoon, we drive past the police station, on the way home up the hill, past the college, because the police station's right there. And Gus, being a bit of an anxious rider and also just a vocal hound dog, tends to hang out the window and bark at stuff. Today he's been pretty chill, and as we're coming up by the police station, there's a couple of pedestrians getting ready to cross the street, and we stop for them, and they cross. And I'm generally impressed at this point that Gus, has his head hanging out the window, says nothing, no barking at all, until they cross, and then coming up behind them is a guy with a police badge hanging around his neck, and Gus immediately starts barking at him. And I, I turn around and like, all right, Gus, hashtag ACAB. And I'm pretty sure the cop heard me say that because both of our windows are open, me and the dog, and I'm just sort of talking to him like right there on the passenger side. And I don't know. Uh, Maybe that's just something that I taught him to do.
You know, you never can tell. He might have grown up with that, but yeah. No,
Uh,
I don't know if I stopped a crime. I don't know, but I saw something really spooky. I saw something really spooky, and since I wasn't physically in a position where I knew that there were at least three other individuals that were involved in the shady business, with the one person who was really passed out or whatever position she was in, something needed to be done, and
yeah.
I was not physically capable of interjecting my own self into that situation. So at 5:50ish in the morning, I called the police and said, please check on this person who looks like she's being robbed and probably sexually assaulted. So
Excellent
something had
that
to be
you
done.
called. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. Don't know if anything came of it. They never called me back,
Scary
but
situation. Ugh.
yeah, yeah. And, it's if I were in a different situation myself, I probably would have made the mistake of getting out of the car and been like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah,
Uh,
understood. Yeah.
but when there's that many people and I've got broken ribs and a screwed up elbow, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, probably if there's nothing physically that you can do in that moment, you made the right call.
Yeah, yeah. Because what am I gonna do? Get myself robbed?
Yeah, and beaten and yeah.
Yeah. So I did something.
That's a fun place to live, isn't it?
Well, I know that I tried to do something good. That's all I got.
Well, yeah, I mean it is definitely not incumbent upon you to endanger yourself. If certainly if you feel confident in
Yeah.
in that pursuit, absolutely. If I could be that guy, I would, but I definitely cannot.
I am chock full of fake confidence,
I
and I really, if I was feeling physically sound, would not have had a problem doing that. But not
I
in this situation.
yeah, I would as soon as the first punch landed, my back would go out and and then I would be punching at their hips.
And we
And
all know how good you are at punching
I,
hips.
a lot of good that would do, I am sure. Uh, but what we were actually going to talk about today on the Depot Devoid podcast is a movie that Ted, have you ever heard of this before? Are you familiar with?
No, not at
Okay.
all.
All right. So, uh, I'm on a bit of a Canadian kick, is what we're doing right now. We last time discussed The Stepfather, a fun little thriller from 1987 starring Terry O'Quinn, a somehow not Canadian actor who stars in a lot of Canadian product. Uh, this is a movie from the following year. The name of this movie is Pin, which is sometimes given a fulsome title of Pin, a Plastic Nightmare. And what it is a very strange little chiller. Uh, it is it is an off kilter story about a mentally ill young man and an unhealthy bond that he forms with a teaching dummy that his pediatrician father keeps in his office. And this was a video store staple from when I was in high school. I believe it got its broad video release in 1989, although it was filmed in 1987. There was probably some out there before that. It was supposed to be a theatrical release, but New World Pictures was in the process of going out of business, and it just never quite made it as far as the theaters, and got released direct to video in the United States in 1989. And it is it is an odd movie, and I watched this probably 3 or 4 times in high school, and it always stuck with me uh, enough that when I co-owned a video store in Chicago in the early 2000s, and this movie I was not findable on DVD, I went out of my way to find like source and purchase a pretty nice looking bootleg DVD and make it available to my customers. But for some reason, I never watched it myself. So when I watched it again for this episode, was the first time that I've seen it, probably since the mid '90s. I think I rented it at one point in college, uh, but never since then. So it was really fun to go back and watch this. It's got a great cast. This it stars, as I mentioned, Terry O'Canada, as I like to call him. The main character, the main adult-ish version of Leon, is played by David Hewlett, who many nerds will know as Dr. Rodney McKay from the Stargate franchise, and he does a great job. It's fantastic. And what did you think? What are your first impressions
I
when you
was
started?
honestly really impressed with how much the adult version of Leon did kind of look like a child of Terry O'Quinn, possibly, to the point where I did have to look up to see whether or not they might have been some sort of subtle relations,
Sure.
but they weren't. It just was a really fitting forehead. Uh, the movie itself, uh, there are some problems with it, but I really enjoyed it. It's a slow burner. It's not going to grip you and keep you stuck in it at all. And there are some continuity errors, which maybe you will be able to elucidate unto me how they work. But otherwise, it's it's a solid, interesting, confusing little half-assed thriller.
It's effectively weird. I didn't remember much about it in detail. It was really fun going back because I remembered the dummy and I remembered, who was in it, and I did not remember what the main storyline was and the sort of the evolution of Leon's character, which is really what this whole movie is about. Um, so it was really fun to come back to it as a much older person and feel like a lot of it really holds up, and the mood that I found so fascinating when I was younger is what I remembered. And going back to that, I mean, that was really effective. That held up. But that's what I was looking for going back to Pin. And it is it is very strange. It feels so Canadian. It is just like the same vibe as uh like all of the, I mean, Stepfather, they feel like they're filmed in the same time and place. And it feels like the Stargate episodes. It feels like I just started rewatching. I got the first season of, do you remember Forever Night? The
Good God, I haven't thought about that in forever night,
uh it came
which
up
is
in a
based on a book series.
it was based on a TV movie.
Was it?
Yes.
Was the
Uh
TV movie based on a book series?
no, the TV movie is called Nick Knight, and it was mom was really into it. And
Where
then
was based on books that she'd read to me?
you're probably conflating it with something else that she was reading at the time, because she had a number of vampire book series that she was quite faithful to around this time, many of which probably had similar premises to Nick Knight and Forever Night, which is why she liked those movies. Uh, but yes, it's basically it's a show about a vampire who becomes a policeman, and that's very short thumbnail sketch of what that is. I remembered it from the '90s, and I looked on. It wasn't streaming anywhere, so I looked on eBay, and someone was trying to sell the first season for $7.99 or best offer with free shipping, and I was like, I could do better. So I offered $6.99, and they were like, no. I said, all right, I don't need it that badly, and then I forgot about it. And then I got a notification email, like one of those auto-generated emails about the listing still being there. No one wanted it, so they were now trying to offload it for $6.29, which was way less than my offer. So I just saved money by not caring about it for a couple of weeks, and now I watched the pilot yesterday.
Nice.
But anyway, it feels like all of these shows, these Canadian series that I've been watching, they all have a distinct feeling to them that I think of as Canadian. And this has it fucking in spades. It is so it's just saturated with that feeling. Um, and it's also got this kind of, because of the kind of story they're telling, it's like a weird Canadian attempt to create that sort of cold British family on a remote estate. It's like the Canadian version of that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I love it. I'm totally there for it. I cannot tell where this is supposed to be. Like, where they live, what is this town, how are things connected? Everything seems really close together because nobody drives anywhere unless they feel like it. Because like Leon walks to the doctor's office while the parents drive there, but it doesn't take anybody a long time to arrive.
Yeah, they again, there's some problems with this movie, but I mean, almost all of the problems really don't even need to be discussed. Uh,
They're not
and
super relevant. You know what I mean? They're like, there's some clumsiness, that stuff that isn't thought through real well, but it's it's stuff that it's not about those things, so they just don't care about them that much. They're about these relationships between the characters, which are fucked up and and really interesting, and that creepy looking dummy.
yeah, I mean, it's tricky with this one because a lot of the plot points are completely unnecessary, and a lot of the time that we spend dealing with the characters is really not developmental to plot or character. Uh, we just know that Leon is pretty fucked up as a kid and definitely weird. The parents are really standoffish, and his sister wants to get boned
The sister
and
is
is
like
looking
a
for when she's gonna be like an adult enough to really want to get boned.
Ursula is the only normal person in the family. The dad is clearly weird, um, but he doesn't seem like a madman. But
No,
the mom is clearly mentally ill. Like, she's not crazy, but she's obsessive compulsive and very, um she's not normal. Like, whatever is wrong with Leon, it's at least partially inherited from his mother. I mean, I think there's a definite, like, diagnosable mental illness that is running in the family. Uh, Possibly contributed by dad, who is not, like, he doesn't come across as insane, but his personal relationship with his children at all stages of the development that we see is pretty cold, unless he is interacting with them through the ventriloquism with his dumb. So we should talk about what this movie is actually about. Um, so okay, so it opens up with like the remote house, with a figure in the window, and a group of local boys are daring each other to get close. It's the creepy house that nobody knows who lives there, but everybody talks about. It's in every neighborhood, and one of them goes in and climbs the trellis, and there's a gust of wind, and we glimpse the figure behind the curtain for just a moment, and the kid screams and blah blah blah, and then we cut back to it's 15 years earlier, so we're going to see how the house became spooky, I guess, is the fairy tale that we're telling in this story. We see it's the same house. And the first thing I love how this starts, because it really is, going back to it, and it really sets the scene. We start with just the we see the scene at the beginning dissolves into the 15 years early with the same shot of the house, but now it's nighttime and 15 years earlier. So we set the same house, then we cut inside, and we just see like static shots of furniture covered in plastic, and a grandfather clock, and then a fancy dining room, but it's dark and empty and nobody's using it. And then the children, Leon and Ursula, are They're standing there eating cookies and milk at the counter, and they're standing on little step stools with their names on them. And as they finish, they've got their little napkins as bibs tucked into their collars. But as they finish and get down and like they pick up their stools because they're like bussing their areas, the mother is already standing there right behind them with a vacuum cleaner to vacuum up any crumbs that they might have left while they were eating their cookies and milk. And that just absolutely sets the scene for what life is like in this household. And then we cut to Dad, Ontario, Canada, as Dr. Frank Linden. He's in his study and he's watching a piano recital on TV and he's like doing little conductor things. And the kids come in and Dad makes them perform tricks before bed. And Ursula has to count to 10 and she's a little kid. She's like 5 or something. And then Leon, who's a schoolboy now, is told to count backwards from 100 by sevens. And he makes it part way and he stumbles and he sends them to bed. And Leon just lays in bed practicing counting backwards by sevens. And this is life.
I just gotta say, counting to 10 when you're 5 is some horse shit. I had both of my kids counting to fucking 30 by the time that they were 2 years old because of a toothbrushing song that we had.
I could read by the time I was 5. Like, I mean,
it
doesn't seem like a big challenge.
Yeah, but you also figured that one out on your own. You weren't taught to read. You just watched other people do it and got it.
Well, yeah, but also, I mean, there was like Sesame Street existed, you know? I mean, the tools are there.
Paid attention to the things around you.
Well, yeah, and we had magnetic letters on the refrigerator, and I learned to spell stuff, and I mean, it was all there. It's yes, counting to 10 isn't that impressive. I probably couldn't have counted backwards by sevens from 100 though.
Well, we'll never know now. I actually, yesterday, for whatever reason, I was thinking about the idea of reciting the alphabet backwards.
Yeah.
Because apparently that's like a thing that people do sometimes for like drunk tests or whatever.
Yeah, dad taught me that when I was very little.
I never was, and I didn't do it out loud or anything, but I was like, I think I could probably do that. And I thought about it and I was like, yeah, that's not hard. But
Yeah,
I never actually thought about the alphabet backwards before.
Yeah, they taught me that at the same time as they taught me the alphabet. I mean, that was something that I was taught in the same sort of, twinkle twinkle little star sing song that everybody learns. And I was taught to sing it backwards the same way. And like Dad even had like his little closure, like how now I never will forget how to backwards my alphabet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he
I'm
taught
not
me.
surprised.
Yeah. ZYXWVUTSRQPONMLKJIHGFEDCBA. I couldn't forget that if I tried. It's
I've never known it.
like spelling pneumono ultramicroscopic silicovolcanoconiosis. You taught me that when I was 6.
Don't fucking ask me to spell it, but I can say it, you son of a bitch.
I'm pretty sure he just like taught me that to like show it off to his friends from like Rotary Club or something.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I remember being like given like command spelling performances a few times.
Do you remember how and why you taught me and Ian how to say pneumono ultramicroscopic silicovolcanoconiosis?
I do not. What were the circumstances?
So as the oldest brother, who is bigger and, awesome, and we all want to hang out with you, if we wanted to go into whatever area you were in, or if we wanted to leave what area we wanted to leave and you wouldn't let us, you would block our way and say, not unless you say pneumono ultramicroscopic silicovolcanoconiosis. And I watched on as Ian stumbled so many times with it. And I refused to play the game. Uh, and Ian kept doing it, and you're like, nope, that's not it. And I'm listening to this whole thing. I'm like, no. And I'm like 4 or 5 years old. I'm like, nah, not for me. I'm just gonna sit here and watch Ian fumble.
Oh
And
my.
eventually one day you blocked the path. I don't know if we were trying to get in or trying to go upstairs or whatever the hell the actual circumstances were. And you were like, you can't go unless you say this. And it's like, I'm 5. Pneumono ultramicroscopic silicovolcanoconiosis. You're like, oh, okay. And that was literally the only time I'd said it out loud in your presence because I, much like Leon, practicing his counting backwards by 7 from 100, I was like, not gonna happen in front of you. I'm gonna
Nice.
practice alone. And it's also a fun thing too because we were all sharing the same bedroom at the time, so I couldn't practice in my bed.
Right.
I had to practice in the bathroom or outside under the trees or when you guys were at school. I practiced and I practiced and I practiced, and I got it.
Oh, that's beautiful and sort of sad.
Not really. I was just not going to give you the pleasure of seeing me fail and fumble. I
I
wanted to win on the first try.
I hope I was suitably impressed.
I like I said, you were. You're like, wow, okay, go. It's one of those things where I had the failure, and so I was going to do the perfect version of a little brother who is a total dick and not going to allow you to see me fail. I was going to win that one on the first
Uh,
try.
that's excellent. I love that.
It was a good time.
Well, that by the transitive property is Dad's fault. Uh, so moving forward. Um,
Leon can't count backwards from 7.
so then we cut ahead, maybe the next day, sometime in the future, where we learn that Dad is a pediatrician. We see his medical practice, and we see that he has this life-size teaching dummy, which is basically a a person with clear skin. You can see musculature and bone and nerve, and just it's the visible man dummy, uh, full size, uh, apparently anatomically correct, even down there. Uh, Although they keep him covered with like a towel in the pediatrician's office.
But hey,
Um,
the nurse can bone him.
that comes later, Ted. This isn't the version of Leon that witnesses that. Um, I don't quite understand why Dr. Frank Linden's children are in the examination room while he has like a patient. Like that seems weird. Maybe that's things are different in Canada.
It was
Um,
the 80s.
but this is where we first witness his ventriloquism act, which is really the only kind of warm side to the Doctor that we ever get to see. But it is definitely kind of strange. He talks to the children as the dummy, who is called Pin, which we eventually learn is short for Pinocchio because Ursula named him that when she was little. But we just call him Pin, and for a while we don't explain that, so it's just creepy that he's called Pin. And he speaks in a weird little sort of Muppet voice because the Doctor is standing in the back of the room, buzzing his lips and throwing his voice. and is able to connect to the kids in a way that cold Dr. Frank can't seem to do on his own, as we will see going forward. But it's even this is the youngest version of Ursula and Leon that we see. They're ages 5 and 7. And frankly, it's already kind of weird that Leon doesn't understand what is happening here. I'll buy that Ursula, 5 years old, uh, doesn't realize that Pin can't possibly be talking to her, especially if this has been happening since she was very little. So this is the dynamic she's grown up with. But at age 7, like Leon should have figured this out by now. I feel like, am I wrong?
No, I mean he definitely should have, but I mean that's part of the whole quandary about how much of it did Leon know and how much of it he was actually participating in the whole time.
It's there's a at the very end, well, at the climax, there's something that makes it really seem like Leon does not fucking connect. Um, but like even here, it's already a little strange. Leon is increasingly unhinged as we go forward, but we cut ahead pretty quickly about 5 years, and this version of Leon, we start to see how isolated he is. Um, the mom, obviously, he's had friends because the mother banishes them. So, in order to be banished, they must have been there at some point. Uh,
Right.
but she is a huge freak. We see Leon come downstairs the first time we cut to age 13. We come downstairs. He's being summoned by his mother to berate him about a spot on the floor, and tells him that his friend can't come over anymore because he is dirty and diseased. Which is Ted. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's not a normal thing to say. Uh, Dirty and diseased.
I don't know. I tell to people all the time. I mean, if you're not welcome in my house, you are dirty and diseased.
Yes, but you actually live in a mental asylum, and you
And I
only,
can't keep them out because it's not technically my house.
it's nice that you were lucid enough this evening that you remember that.
You know, I really try. Sometimes they give me the right drugs. Sometimes they give me the wrong drugs.
Which can be the right drugs, depending on how you experience them.
Well, and also how much I save up and how much I take at the same time and whether or not I'm boofing it, you know.
I'll tell you who might have benefited from some drugs at some point. That Leon character.
He probably could have. Shame.
Yeah. When mom says the dirty and disease thing, his response is, "Why don't you just sterilize him at the door?" Which is pretty confrontational for young Leon, who is immediately slapped and told that he made her do that. So this is a very healthy dynamic in their household, and he goes off walking. And again, this is where we are immediately in a public space, and I don't know if this is just um, transitions that are not intended to show relationships between settings, or if it is actually as close as everything seems to be by the way the story is told. But he just goes out and immediately runs into some other kids. Are they on a campus? Maybe. I don't know. It all kind of looks like a campus. And yeah, so he's got at this point in his life, there are some social relationships outside of the home, but not many. And they seem to be in the process of crumbling before our very eyes. And so then he sees his dad leave the doctor's office, because the doctor's office is also right there, because everything is
Small
all
town, Matt.
it seems very small, very small. So he sees dad leave and he goes to talk to Pin by himself. Um, there is a definite, like, dad doesn't want them talking to Pin, and I can't tell if it's because he doesn't want them to figure out that he's doing the voice, or what. It's a Did you get a sense of that, his what dad's deal was with Pin there? What's your take on Dr. Frank Linden's relationship with Pin at the beginning? Because at the end of the first scene in the office, when he sends the kids away, uh he continues talking to Pin about the case, um and having a little back and forth, but he tells the kids to leave, and then sees Leon still watching them, and he's like, Leon, and fist shake, and Leon get downstairs and goes and closes the door. So either Frank has a tendency to converse with himself as Pin in the office anyway, and prefers not to be observed, or he staged that whole interaction to, like, shame Leon for eavesdropping because he knew he was going to do that. And then later 13-year-old Leon sneaks into the office to spend time with Pin because he knows he's not supposed to talk to him when his dad's not there. So what do you think that's all about?
This is where there are divergent issues for me. I believe that in part of this movie, the doctor is talking to Pin just because he likes speaking to himself, and it's good sometimes to bounce different ideas off your own self. And he's communicating with himself like, well, this is what I'm thinking. Oh, but this is also the other angle that I'm thinking. And rather than having that internal dialogue, he's having an external dialogue, which a lot of people do.
And he's
I'm
used
not.
to it. He's used to it because
Yeah.
he has Pin.
Yeah. And so it allows him some freedom to do that. Um, but that also conflicts with one other part of the movie where they really fucked shit up. Um, if the movie is indeed to be taken as it is presented otherwise. So what I feel that moment was Dr. Linden is having a out loud spoken conversation with himself and a different figure so that he can talk to that figure and just have that moment of dialogue, even if it is only with yourself. And I don't do that externally very often. A little bit. Not like that. Not like a fucking monster.
You're not exactly the same as him.
No, no, I'm not dead.
This is also the scene in which okay, so he sneaks in to talk to Pin, who obviously doesn't respond. And at this point, 13-year-old Leon, definitely something isn't right upstairs with him. He believes in the reality of Pin as a living being sufficiently at this point to sneak into his dad's office, because he thinks that maybe the importance of the situation will convince Pin to finally talk to him. He seems to fully believe this. But while he is in there, he hears the nurse coming, and so he hides in the closet and witnesses the nurse's special moment with Pin, whose anatomical correctness contributes to his utility as a masturbatory aid. And this is not something that Leon was mentally prepared to experience.
This is very true.
Um, he his attachment to Pin is not healthy, obviously already at this point, and he has voiced the idea that he considers Pin to be his only friend. And then he witnesses what I guess would essentially be a sexual assault upon his friend by this nurse. And yeah, it is a formative experience for Leon, I think. We cut then to Ursula's birthday, and Dad apparently gives presents from both himself and Pin. He's he's very he is encouraging this idea of Pin as an autonomous being, but
He's clearly proud of Pin.
it's like it's meant to be playful from his side, right? Like this is the only way he expresses this kind of idea of play as far as we see it. And
Otherwise, he's cold and unreceptive.
yeah, so I think this is Dad's like the idea of acting through Pin enables dad to give his kids two presents, one from him and one from Pin. So
Yeah.
so it's a means to affection. And I don't think that what the dad is doing is intended to be fucked up, but I think that because Leon already has this weird notion of what Pin is, giving presents from Pin only makes that worse. And Leon is really excited to see what Pin gave Ursula for her birthday, and that is weird and sad.
If there's any weird noise, it's because this little monster is purring a lot right next to me.
Oh, hello, monster. Is that your
She's very
very
happy
own
and very
Pin?
loud.
Um. Oh, and then we go and in the evening, they're hanging out in Leon's room, and they have like a stolen Playboy or something. And this is where we first hear Ursula express her desire to really be like a grown up with and be involved in the idea of sexual urges and developing a grown up body, and she's excited by all of this, and Leon is just like weirded out by it and expresses that he wishes Pin could come and live with them, which is not a normal reaction to the things that Ursula has just told him.
No, and it's also, it's a weird sibling interaction. I say, having never had a sibling of the opposite sex to have any of those kind of conversations with them. Um, but it just the whole thing seems a little I mean, honestly, all of it, that and Pin's existence and everything, it's off kilter, and their parents, it none of it sits right. There's a lot of
No.
heavy, spooky things aren't okay going on.
No, and I mean, there's a series of events that follows right from this because they're talking about, she's talking about sexuality, and then Leon makes the comment about Pin, and Ursula says, father would never allow Pin to come live with them because he's just an office dummy. And Leon slaps her and is
Yeah,
like,
he's serious.
never call him that. And he's about to slap her again while she's trying to leave the room. And mom opens the door, and they're standing there with a girly mat. They've both been in Leon's room together with the door closed, and they have a girly magazine with them. Um, and there's this like look of horror on her face. And then we cut to sex education with Pin in Dad's
Yeah.
office. And that is comfortable for everyone for sure. Uh they have we have Pin sitting there. The kids are sitting in front of Pin like he's giving a lecture. Dad's leaning in the back of the room, obviously doing the little voice. And we see, like, the audience is shown in this moment that Ursula sees that their father is doing the voice. So if there was any question before, we now know, yes, Ursula is a normal person who, at this stage in her development, is fully aware that Pin is a make believe object and Dad's doing the voice, and it's just a weird thing that her dad does as a pediatrician. Whereas Leon is laser focused on Pin, his best friend, who's teaching them about sexuality. And then they look at Pin's wiener together.
It's a party.
And then they have a conversation later, like, at home, Leon and Ursula, about how she's excited for this next stage of her development, and Leon is not, and declares that he isn't old enough. And Ursula can't wait to be old enough. Which she is immediately, because we cut to the kids in their final forms.
Despite the fact that she's like 37 years old when she's 15, but
Yes,
whatever.
Yes, they cast. I'm certain that actress is older than the gentleman playing Leon.
Yes, very much, definitely.
I mean, David Hewlett.
Hey,
David Hewlett is older than 17, and I feel like she is older than David Hewlett. So
yeah, and I was overestimating. I was exagerating by far when I said 37, but she's clearly at least like 24.
Yes, and I absolutely
like
I did not look it up, but she is definitely, like, I was surprised to work out that she was supposed to be 15.
Well, hey, the magic of podcasting, you can Google it right now and cut out the little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could do that if I was a horrible person.
Well, all right, fine. I've got the ability to. What are their names?
Well, the reason I didn't do it immediately was because I don't remember the name of the actress who plays Ursula. David Hewlett. David Hewlett is one of my favorites. I absolutely. We're going to watch some other stuff with David Hewlett in it. I promise you. Okay.
All right. So this movie came out or was filmed in '89.
It was filmed in '87. It was released on video in the States in '89, I believe. I think that IMDb lists.
So if it was '87, then he was 19.
Okay. And Cynthia.
And what the hell is her name?
Her name. Okay, I just looked at her. She's Cynthia Preston. Her birth date, her year of birth is not listed here.
What's her name?
Cynthia Preston. Her birth date is just listed as May 18th. Let's see, Wikipedia. Let's try Wikipedia. I'm totally
also born in '68. I guess they're the same age.
Okay. Well, she looks haggard.
Extremely.
No, she's fine. But she's definitely not. She's not 15.
Yeah, we're gonna say, ew, gross.
Ew, she's ancient. I'm 50, Ted.
She's the same age as her brother.
Barf aroma.
Barf aroma. That sounds terrible.
That'll make you barf too. So what? Okay. we cut to them. We're teenagers now. It's a school dance. Um, I haven't been to a ton of school dances because I'm unpopular. But I feel like the school dances that occurred when I was a school aged person, that like the in the evening, they were sort of like limited to the dance venue, like a gymnasium or something. This school, like everyone seemed to have the run of the entire school during the dance, and they were just like roaming the halls. But what we see is some boys graffitiing a locker to say, if you want an easy screw, Ursula will do. And Leon doesn't like this and freaks out and goes to seek her out at the dance with some urgency. This girl hits on him and he like fucking does not register it at all. Um, Goes out under the parking lot and searches among the cars with the fogged up windows, and opens the door and drags Ursula out. Makes a huge scene and starts kicking the shit out of the guy that was in the car with her. um I'm gonna say Leon is kind of a prude, Ted.
Um, yeah. Also, a really violent prude.
Yeah, he seems to be inspired to proselytize his prudishness in very direct ways, let us say.
Yeah, and I mean, even before we get to later parts in it, in the story, it's a very unnerving degree of possession that he expresses over his sister from an early age.
It's it's weird, and what's weird is that he at no point does he really seem to show like you get an incesty vibe, like, and things are like the movie also just frames things in ways that I think encourage your mind to go there, but also Leon isn't actually displaying anything that seems like overt sexual interest at all, like to anyone or anything.
No, the only time it happens is in his poetry.
Yeah, but he doesn't seem to have it otherwise. And that was interesting. Like this movie makes a lot of interesting choices that like that make the dynamics between these characters more bizarre and harder to pin down, but not just like it doesn't seem haphazard. It just seems really weird.
Yeah.
And Leon is just like a fascinating character to me. And um and then she thinks she's pregnant. And this this does not get any less weird. Um First of all, like we see Ursula coming out of across the lawn in their weird like fake British Canadian pastoral estate. Um, Mommy and Daddy are sitting on the lawn furniture and they're reading, and they just they. I mean, she doesn't talk to them. She doesn't try to address them, but she comes and sort of stands there, and they just don't acknowledge her presence. They don't look up. It's as though she makes no waves when and then so she just kind of moves on and finds Leon. There's a lake, Ted. Did you know that?
Mm.
She just wanders over, and then there's a lake, I guess, and tells him that she thinks she's pregnant, and he, she she says she's pregnant. She thinks she's pregnant. He encourages her to talk to the parents, and she doesn't want to. And then he's like, "We should go talk to Pin." And it's sort of sweet because Ursula tries to be kind of sensitive about the fact that like obviously now like he's supposed to be like he's 17 and he is not over this thing with Pin. And she tries to like she doesn't be like She doesn't say, Leon, shut the fuck up. This is a real problem, and I don't have time for your bullshit. Instead, she's like, oh, um, we can't do that because Pin won't talk to us without Dad there. Um, they go anyway because Leon insists that he'll talk to us because it's super important, and so they go there, and this is the first time we and Ursula see Leon doing the voice. And Ursula is not soothed by this information.
No, but she is impressed.
Is that what she is?
Yeah, when she said, "Well, how did you learn to do that?" And he just skips right past it.
Yeah, he doesn't hear the things that break his illusion, which
Yep.
that definitely does not remind me of our mom. And my my first question when I saw it was, does Leon know he's doing this? Uh, I feel like, and I think overall the movie does not fully answer that question. I think for the most part, it's played like Leon, really just like that, just kind of he doesn't hold on to the knowledge of any of the things that would shatter his illusion that Pin is talking to him. And he'll do what has to be done in the moment, but then that part goes away, and the part where he and Pin had a conversation, that's the part that stays. And yeah, it's a little creepy, and I would be fucking terrified if I was Ursula. And then her life gets way better when 15-year-old Ursula gets an abortion from her dad.
Don't tell your mom I did this.
Yeah, it is a it's a fucked up situation.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's a giant mess. And moving on from there, really the there's a lot of stuff in this movie, and the biggest problem that I actually have with it, we can talk about everything else and have a great time with it, but they made a big mistake when uh when the doctor and his wife put Pin in the car and they're going to the meeting that doesn't happen because he dies
right.
or they die, and they're driving and Pin sits up in the back of the car. Leon's not there, but Pin sits up in the back of the car.
I
So we've broken kayfabe here.
I
We
I
are no longer dealing with our fake wrestling personas. This actually was a part of the movie that happened, and they shouldn't have done it
I
at
think
all.
that the staging of this sequence, and I think it's a staging problem rather than the narrative endorsing the idea that Pin is an autonomous being. Um, we lead up to this. Right before this happens, Dad sees Leon doing the voice, and he starts to have a hint of the extent of the problem that exists in his son. And so he takes the dummy to take to their medical conference or whatever, and his intent is to then donate it and have it out of the office, and Leon will no longer have access to this dummy. And he puts it in the back seat, and then he's driving kind of crazy, because they're already late, and he is really freaked out about what he just witnessed. And so then he's driving crazy, and then we have like a couple of road construction signs. So what's supposed to be happening is that the uneven terrain, because of the detour and his sort of out of control driving, I think we're supposed to think that the motion of the car caused the dummy to shift the way it does. And at the very least, I think the movie is inviting us to, if we want to imbue the character with more, that's the moment where we can do it. But I don't think the movie is saying pin sat up. Does that make sense?
No, you don't think so?
I I don't think so. Um, I have lost your video. I'm just going to say that real quick in case you didn't notice that. There you are. I don't think that the movie is doing that, but I think this is the part where it is giving you the most material to work with if you want to believe that. But I think the whole movie is meant to be something that you can view as entirely straightforward rather than supernatural. Um, but admittedly, that scene is a little. It's maybe a little elaborate for their abilities to direct effectively.
That one stands out to me as they fucked up. But, maybe they had a subplot where it actually was going to be a different story.
I mean, I wonder if there were like they could very well. Also, this movie is based on a book which I've never read, so I don't know if the book has a different slant on this. But I could easily see this movie being filmed with a little bit more to it, and then being sort of pared back as far as they could take it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I like when I watched it this last time. I was fully invested in the idea that nothing supernatural of any kind happens in this movie at all, and I was completely content with that. That said, it's like, I mean, I think it's effectively like creepy as hell without anything unusual even happening.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so then both the parents die in a car crash with the dummy, which is awesome. And
But we
then
save the dummy, and then we give him a face.
yeah, his
Skin.
relationship with the dummy just gets more and more fucked up. He moves it into the house. He starts dressing it, and then he puts skin on it and a wig, and he's dressing it in their dad's clothes, apparently.
And
He
the aunt gets killed by a heart attack.
It's yes. So there's a series of sort of like it becomes a bit of a slasher for a minute. The aunt moves herself into the house, and Leon quickly dispatches her because that's not the family he wants. And he uses Pin essentially as a weapon. Like he's doing the voice, but he's sort of holding it, and he basically just scares her to death by using Pin to frighten her. He like his depravity, like he sort of experiments a little bit. There's the girl who he has kind of like a quote unquote date with, that Marcia girl, who he chases around the house with Pin in the remote control wheelchair,
Hmm.
which is the most just sort of like mean spirited that he is. He's just being a dick. Like there's nothing for him to gain by this, and he gets interrupted by Ursula, and it's unclear like how far would this have gone if his sister hadn't come home. uh he's not doing great, Ted. He's getting worse and worse.
He is unwell.
um wow, we have eaten up this entire time already. We need to start talking about this movie. How does this
We probably
end?
need to print it out. Skip some shit.
uh
Ursula
Basically,
gets a boyfriend. Boyfriend gets smashed.
yes, Ursula gets a boyfriend, and Leon kills him. But he lures him over and drugs him, and then beats him to death, stashes the body in the woodpile. The whole thing is pretty fucked up. And he lies to Ursula about what happened. and she only finds it out because the watch that she got him that beeps every hour came off during the struggle and is still in the room. And so she finds the watch, figures out what's going on, and and this is the part that I'm talking about where I'm starting to think like he fully believes in the autonomy of this dummy is
Oh yeah.
rather than coming up with a plausible story or even an implausible story, he blames the murder on Pin.
Yeah, Pin did it.
He straight up tells her that. And like, okay, like he's fucking gone. And I think that's the point where she realizes that he is fucking gone too. And she ends up going out and getting an axe and comes roaring back into the room, wielding the axe over her head. And we're left for a moment not knowing exactly what she did with that axe. And then the movie sort of ends where it began, which is we go back to the house. It's a sunny day, and Ursula is coming to visit Pin. It seems like. So it turns out she has killed the dummy with the axe, and Leon just fully became the persona of the dummy and is in the house as Pin and misses Leon. He misses Leon very much, Ted.
Asked if Ursula has heard from him.
It's kind of a sad ending. It's the happy part is that it turned out remarkably that her boyfriend wasn't dead. He was just beaten within an inch of his life before being stashed in the woodpile.
Yeah.
So she still gets her happy ending, which is cool. But this movie has it's a it's an interesting journey into the mental illness of the Canadian elite.
I can just say right here that Canadian movies are fucking funny and weird and fun.
I
I like them.
I love me a low
Those
budget
that I have
Canadian
seen,
movie.
yeah, those that I have seen, I have enjoyed.
It's
I don't know enough.
it's a vibe. It's a vibe that I really like. And yeah, we're gonna do a couple more. And actually the next on my agenda also has David Hewlett in it, so we can have a nice segue there.
Good times.
But so would you recommend Pin, A Plastic Nightmare? Was this worth your time?
Yes. Yes, this one was. It was timing on getting it done with all the stupid electrical problems and everything else going on currently was really a little bit difficult to hammer it down. But hey, I figured it. I got it done. Just like I mowed my lawn in the dark the other morning with my headlamp. You know,
Sounds
sometimes you got to get shit done.
so unwholesome. Oh,
Oh yeah, one of my coworkers was giving me a bunch of shit about that. He's like, really, 7 a.m. is when the noise curfew ends. It's like, yeah, I waited till 6. Who's gonna show the fuck up? Stop me. Not gonna happen. So what if your neighbors are mad? It's like, my lawnmower's not that loud. Whatever, dude. I mowed my lawn. In fact, one of my neighbors would have been mad if I hadn't mowed my lawn because he wants it to be short.
there you go. You're just making your neighbors happy.
Exactly. You got to do what you got to do.
All right. Well, we've managed to fit the end of this movie into the time remaining, at least. So I would like to encourage all of our listeners to seek this out. It is currently available on YouTube if you can't find it somewhere else. It is a fascinating, weird little thriller that has stuck in my head for decades. It is a strange vibe. It is very fun. It is essentially bloodless if you're squeamish. It's just a psychological trip. It's a strange one. And
It's not a movie that you can not pay attention to when you're watching it. You
true.
have to be paying attention to it.
Yes.
This is not a background movie. You need to watch it. You need every minute of it.
Okay, soak in it.
Worthwhile.
Yes, it is. Let it wash over you. We become one with it. Become one with American treasure and Canadian superstar Terry O'Quinn, and the great David Hewlett, who will be joining us next time. Well, he'll be in the movie.
There we go. Well, maybe we'll have him on. You never can tell.
Yeah, you can't prove that we won't. It's still the past right now.
Exactly. And tomorrow will be the future.
Excellent.
Except when it is not the future.
I don't even want to talk about that. I love you, Ted.
Love you too, Matt.
May your enemies' dicks be bitten off.
May your enemies' dicks be bitten off.
Thank you.
Think this is a good way to end things.
Yes, it is. It is always good to end with one's enemy's dicks bitten clean off.
It's like how my brother me says, kiss your dad square on the mouth at the end. May your enemy's dicks be bitten off. Yeah, it's a good sign off.
There we go. Until next time, Ted.
Until next time. I love you, Matt.
I love you, Ted. The Depot Devoid is that place your mind goes when you've lost your train of thought, but you haven't found a new one. The Depot Devoid podcast is hosted by Matt Fagan and Ted Fagan. Depot Devoid is not hosted by Ian Fagan because he died and we miss him. Find our full video episodes at Depot Devoid Podcast on YouTube. On social media, you can find us at Depot Devoid Podcast on Blue Sky, and for now, still on Facebook and Instagram. Or you can email us at depotdevoidpodcast@gmail.com. And of course, you can listen to the show on all of your favorite podcast platforms.